it is Theresa, and I am back with some all brand new Christmas DIYs that are perfect if you are a seller, do craft fairs, have a shop, have a booth, whatever, or you just want to make stuff. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my collaboration though in just a few minutes. So I'm starting off with one of these little sleds. They are from the Target Dollar Spot. I got them last year. They were $5, but I got quite a few of them on clearance, which we love. I did paint it in a green color from DIY Paint and a black color from DIY Paint. I did, as you can see over there on the side, I made some of the IOD mold with some resin. I'll have the information down for you below in case you want to check it out. And now I am taking some of the black DIY wax and just kind of going around distressing it, adding a little bit of wear and tear. You know, if you've been here for a little while, that I love to add wax to things. I think it gives it a lot of dimension, a lot of detail. I love it. And I also love resin. like I said, I used it on those molds that I'm going to use actually on here. This resin comes out this color, the kind of like creamy white color that you see on the right side of the screen. That is how it comes out once it is cured, and it actually sets up pretty quick. And I have a code down below. I'm not affiliated with them or anything, but it's like a referral program that they do. So if you want to check it out, I'll get $20. You'll get $20. You can send it to other people, and then you can get $20. It's a win-win, right? So one thing about these molds, there's so much detail in them, and it's so much easier to use it with the resin than the clay. I've done it with the clay. I liked it for the most part until I started using the resin in there. Totally a game changer. And they wax really nicely, really easily. There's no additional prep work to them. You don't have to paint them if you don't want to, or you can paint them. They paint well. I'm taking some of the clear wax here from, again, same company, DIY. I get that from my friend Bree over at Upcycled by Bree. I'll have her website listed below too if you want to check her out. So again, just a real quick, easy coat of the clear, and then I'm going to go in with the dark wax and kind of go over it. I mean, it's not really a dry brush, so to speak. It is more or less a pretty hefty amount. As you see here, I'm actually scooping out a little bit of the wax. They're made with like all natural ingredients and everything, so you're really not supposed to like dip your brush in it. So I clean my little, I don't know, I think that's actually like a cake smoother thing from Dollar Tree, but I clean it every time I use it and it works out great. So see, I have basically saturated it with the dark wax, and then I'm taking a paper towel and wiping it back. If you find that you're having a hard time doing that, make sure you're using the clear wax first. It kind of gives it a little bit of a buffer, but since I'm only hitting the high parts with the paper towel, it's leaving all of the wax, the dark wax, kind of in the little crevices. And I'm going to do it with these little pieces too. These are little like holly berry and holly leaves, and it's just Christmas fantasticness. I mean, I think I am in love with them. I need to kind of set up a little station in my resin tent. Yeah, I have a whole tent dedicated to resin. If you're new here, I do really pretty ocean boards too. I've got some videos, you know, on my channel as well, but this is all Christmas. Now, mind you, I have the ocean still at Christmas time, but you know what I mean. We're going Christmas all the way today. All right, so now that I'm done with those, I am gonna just plop them on to my lovely little sled. I did that so much like the last 2 years. This is a sled, not a sleigh. Santa rides in a sleigh. See, I'm doing it again. It's really and truly not intentional. I do that all the time. Anyways, I'm going to take a little bit of Tite Bond and add that to the backing of it, and then add in a little tiny bit of hot glue, mostly because I needed to add a new glue stick, but was too lazy to go over to my desk where I have them. We're going to make work though. Same thing here, just a little dab of the Tite Bond in the middle, and then a little around the edges on the mold. One thing that's cool too, when you're using these, if you do the resin in the mold and you want to add it to kind of like a curved surface, so to speak, you can actually warm them up a little bit with your heat gun I'd set it on really low because I think it would warm up really fast. And I don't know if it was like just my mixing was a little bit off on this set. If I let this guy sit with, like, let's say his antlers are hanging over the edge or something, he'll start to bend a little bit that way. But here's how it turned out. I think it turned out just super, super cute. This is over at my shop. So this video is in collaboration with my dear friend Tami over at Happiness Created. I absolutely love her. I hope you love her. If you have never seen her channel before, I'm going to have it linked below along with her video. And we're going to be sharing little bits and tips about our shops, some video pictures about our shops. She has one where she lives as well, and stay tuned to the end and I have a video to show you about my shop. So this one is another project, obviously meant for Christmas. I have these stars. I want to say that I probably got them from like Michael's when they were doing like a super discount on their 4th of July stuff, and it may not even been this year. It may have been last year. But I have gone ahead and did a quick stain with some of the weathered wood stain. I think that's what it's called. I will list it for you below. I think they have it on their website, and they think they sell it at Home Depot. I'm not sure. I actually won it in a giveaway, so I'm kind of impressed. I like it. It dries actually quite fast. And then, of course, I have a Chalk Couture transfer if you are a seller, a maker, or if you just need to make a lot of projects that are the kind of similar, the same, use the same like design to it. I highly recommend you checking either Chalk Couture out or other silkscreen stencils. They make things so fast and easy. This one is I believe it is a C-size transfer, and one half of it is obviously all of the music, and then the other half says "Oh Holy Night." This is, I assume, the music to "Oh Holy Night." There are lyrics on it too, so I would assume the music part is "Oh Holy Night" as well, but you never know, right? It's like if you have a Chinese tattoo, like you never know really if it's what they told you it was unless you speak it or heavily researched it. I did neither. I don't do music, and I didn't research if this was the right musical bars. We're going to assume it is. All right. I'm going to just basically do one stencil after the other. I am not even going to go clean it off. And when you do this, just make sure you're doing it pretty quickly. You don't really want that paste to dry. This paste is in the color Dune, which I really like this color. You wouldn't look at it and say that's a great color. That's a boring like vanilla yellowy color, but I use it all the time, to be really honest. So like I said, when you're going to be doing it one after the other, do it really quickly so that the actual paste does not dry. When you plop it on, try to keep your scraping in one direction, and that'll really help keep it looking beautiful. And here they are. I wanted to put the words on it, but they weren't going to fit, unfortunately. Don't worry, I have another project right here, in fact, apparently, that I would use. I couldn't remember if I did this one next or after that. So this is just a wooden book. This one, in fact, did come from Michael's regular wood section thing that you could, in fact, grab as well if you wanted to. And it is also stained in the same stain, that weathered wood, and I'm going to do the same transfer. Sorry, I hope this isn't boring that it's the exact same thing, but same transfer, same color. And on this one though, I am going to do the words. And one thing to keep in mind too, on if you're using Chalk Couture, or even if you're using another adhesive style silkscreen stencil, I recommend adding a tiny little bit, just enough of a wax. If your wood isn't like perfectly smooth, it helps to make sure that the roughness of your wood doesn't like come across in the paste. I don't know if that made sense, but hopefully it does. So what I did there is I peeled it back, the part on the top, and then I peeled the whole thing off. When you do that, you're making sure that your paste does not dry in the silk screen part. Little tip for you there. Now I'm going to plop the Holy Night on there. I have also done a layer of wax in between. What you're doing is basically you are protecting the paste that you have kind of in between, like you're sandwiching everything. That way it doesn't end up being all smudgy. It doesn't end up kind of sticking to the sticky part of the transfer. it ends up just being a better overall result. Now, if you do too much, it's a fine line, guys. It's a fine line. If you do too much of the wax, it will not stick enough. I know, it's a paradox. But don't worry, with enough practice, you do actually kind of get the hang of it. Now this is obviously a white paste that I'm going to do over it, and I'm going to add wax to it. I know, you're shocked. But I am doing this just so it kind of stands out a little bit. I don't want it like super crazy white, and I didn't feel like mixing colors, so I am going to also, of course, add some of just the antiquing wax to kind of bring it down a notch or two. So same situation now. Now the DIY wax on the darker ones, they come in a black and they come in a dark. They are really, really close to the same color. Just so you know, this is a very, very dark wax. So I am just going through and really, I've sped it up quite a bit, obviously, but just kind of going in, very light touch, very little bit of wax on my brush. I wanted to go over both the like the song part of it as well as the Oh Holy Night part. I think that it's just going to give it a really nice, very vintagey kind of look. I think that it gives it an overall really cool look. And I did actually do the stain all throughout the entire book, like on the front, on the inside, the back, the whole thing is stained in that same brown. I think it would have been really cool to paint it as well. I think different color painting options would have been cool. So here's is all finished up, and I think it just gives it a super cool, like vintagey touch. So the roost is actually where I am selling all of my, not all of my stuff, but a lot of my stuff that I've been making here on YouTube over the last couple of years. New stuff I've been making just for the roost. It's really a cool, cute little shop, and I'm going to show a video to you in just a minute. It's actually in Oviedo, Florida, if anyone is local. I now have another thing from the Target dollar spot, and it is double-sided, so we're going to do both sides. The front side is, again, Chalk Couture. I'm telling you guys, if you need to make something with the same designs, for whatever reason that may be, it's a great option, or if you really love the design. I have some things I've only used once, but I loved it so much I had to buy it. I'm going to do something that I don't typically do with Chalk Couture stuff. Usually I will stick with one color, maybe two if I'm feeling wild, but on this one I am doing like a bunch of colors. Like I said, I don't do it very often. It takes a little bit more time. I don't always love it the way it looks when other people do it, at least not for me, for my style. I think they look cute, but not always perfect for me. So on this one, I am doing the black paste on the holiday part. I'm going to use some green for the greenery part. I'm going to use some red for the berries, some brown for the gingerbread, because what other color would they be, right? Gingerbread is a darker brown color, right? I'm trying to think if I've ever seen gingerbread not be that color. I guess if they frosted it, right? So this green color here is like kind of new. It just recently came out and I am kind of in love with it. It looks much more of a true green, but when it dries, I feel like it gets a little bit darker. So if you're kind of looking at it when you're putting it down onto the transfer, the stencil that you're looking at here, I feel like once it dries, it's a little darker. I'm using a pretty like fine little pointy tool. It has a name, I can't remember it, to kind of get in there and get the berries. And then I'm going to do the same thing that I kind of did a few minutes ago, where I peel it back and then lay it back down. That way it does not have a chance to dry in the silk screen. If it does that, sometimes it's on purpose. Sometimes you'll see people that did it intentionally because they wanted that almost like very weathered, almost looks like a cast has been left from your design, which is cool if that is what you're going for. Not as much if that is not what you're going for. It wasn't what I was going for here. So I made sure to peel it back, lay it back down. The first time you do it, you're terrified. You're like, am I going to mess it up? Don't mess it up. I don't want to mess it up. Please don't let me mess it up. But then it's fine. And you can breathe and you can be okay. It's a nice little tip to try it out if you need to do it. And then, like I said, I'm doing it kind of like layer by layer, and looking at it even now, I'm like, man, I was like living on the wild side. I did like, what, 4 different colors on one transfer? That never happens. All right, so I went ahead and finished off the bottom part in the black. See, you can even see on the top left side of that H, it was a little bit on the faded side, but I was okay with it. I do believe I added a little bit of the dark wax on there too, just to kind of, you know, rough it up a little bit. I kind of feel like the dark wax helps to hide any imperfections you may have, because when in doubt, wax it out, and it hides things, especially if you go for more of a rustic farmhouse look. So on the other side is obviously a chalkboard, so I'm just going to do the countdown to Christmas part of this. I really wanted to do the numbers, but they did not fit, so I will have to make another project down the line, obviously before Christmas, with the numbering part. So on this one, I am going to go good old-fashioned one color through the whole thing. And this one is, I believe, called Shimmer Frost. It is a really pretty, shimmery, obviously, color. It is obviously not quite like super, super bright, but it's kind of like a cross between a white and a silver. And I think it just gives the perfect, like, snowy touch. So if you are into that look, especially for wintertime after Christmas, it's beautiful. Now, I am peeling it back rather slowly. This is not me trying to be dramatic with like the moment. I didn't fuzz it enough. If you have a chalkboard type of thing, make sure you fuzz it, your transfers, quite a bit. And this, like I mentioned, is my little shop that I sell in. I'm sorry, the camera is at like the portrait perspective, so it's a little small. I'm gonna post this same video in as a YouTube short, and what I want to see is, can anyone guess the right number of projects that they see that are my projects? So you're going to see it here, but I'm going to post it. I will probably, let's see, this is going live on Wednesday. I will post that on Friday, and I'm curious if anybody can come up with the right number of projects. One guess, you don't get anything if you win, but it's just kind of fun, right? Just to see if anyone can come up with the right number. It's just, like I said, it's just kind of fun. I'll give you a hint. None of the clothing is mine. I don't make shirts. So that at least can give you that. I have gone through and I've already kind of counted. I'll go through and verify it at least a time or two just to make sure that I'm not wrong on it. But I will say I have really enjoyed selling here. The lady who runs it is absolutely wonderful, and I hope to share more about my whole experience with selling here. If you have any questions about it, please drop them down below and let me know what was your favorite project today. I hope that you enjoyed yourself and that you will go check out Tami's video and her channel. And don't forget, if you're new here, please subscribe and come back and see what we have in store for the next time. So I'll see you guys later. Bye.